A lot of people know that Pastor Greg is not my biological father. He adopted me when my mom and him got married, which means I do have a biological father, and he left when I was like 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I was a baby, but he left when I was a child, and he went to the military. And so my mom was a single mom. She was 19 when she had me, so she's my age now when my biological father left us. And as a mom, I have a son. As a mom of a 16-month-old, 17-month-old, I could not imagine my husband leaving, or, the father of my child leaving. And so I really understand that on a deeper level of everything that my mom went through, just being a single mom at her age. And so because I grew up without a biological father, I struggled a lot with self-worth. I struggled a lot with my identity. And I remember when we first started going to church, I was in 5th grade. My mom got radically saved, like out of a ditch. Her testimony is beautiful. But I remember when we went to church, I kind of made this like deal with God. Hey, I don't really want a father. I had one of those, didn't work out too hot. So I'll stay over here, you stay over there, and we'll be cool. So I kind of made this deal with God that I did not necessarily want anything to do with him, but I would go to church because my mom wanted to go to church, and I saw the change in my mom's life, and I wanted the best for her, but I did not want what she had. And it's not um, because she didn't walk the walk, because she did. It was because I had a dad. He broke my heart. I don't want to go through that again. And so I told God, I don't want you as a father. And again, I was only in 5th grade. Like, how a child could even think like that is just crazy, Yeah. Like, I was so young. I shouldn't have even known what I was talking about, but I remember so vividly. So then we enter into 6th grade, my middle school years. And I went through a lot of bullying. I'm very skin and bone, and I I got bullied a lot for that. I have very skinny legs. Okay, TMI. But I have very skinny calves. I have like no calves. Like, if don't look, don't everybody look at the same time. If you notice, you're like, why does Kiara only wear baggy jeans? Because I have small legs. I'm just kidding. I got deliverance. Praise God. But I went through a lot of bullying in middle school. And it made me like just hate the person I was looking at in the mirror, because I was like, everybody around me, is saying these things. It must be true. Like it can't be only my mom saying you look pretty today. Like, that's not enough. You're my mom, And so all of my, peers were just making fun of how I looked. And so I started to believe them. And then I would look in the mirror and I would just think I was like so much bigger than what I was, minus my legs. So like my legs were like chopsticks, and then everything else was like a pear. And I had convinced myself that that's how I looked. Like, I literally felt like I was a veggie tail, like the pear veggie tail with the skinny legs and just the very wide body. And so I developed an eating disorder in 6th grade.
It's terrible.
And it is. And it was so difficult because I was only in 6th grade. Like, I should not be worrying about what I'm eating, and I was. And that caused a whole other thing. And then I started spiraling down the whole self-hatred thing. So then I started self-harming. And all of that happened. And then about 7th grade, my biological father came back down to Tennessee. And we were staying at his mom's house, so my grandma's house. And we spent like this whole week together. And I asked him, I was like, why did you leave? Why did you blah, blah, blah? And so we like worked it out. We rekindled. He got a divorce from his wife and his kids. And so he didn't see them anymore. So I think that's why he came back down, because he felt alone and he knew I would be here. And so he came down. We spent this whole week together. It was beautiful. It was glorious. And then this one night, he had just been like hanging out with his friends and drinking. And he came back to my grandma's house. I'm in 7th grade. And he comes upstairs and he's like, hey, he wakes me up. It's like 2 a.m. He's like, hey, I love you so much. This past week has like, just changed my way of thinking. He lived in North Carolina. So he was like, I'm going to move down here. I'm going to live here. This past week is how we're going to live the rest of our lives. Like, I'm going to be a part of your life. I missed you. I loved you. And then the next morning I woke up, and my grandma always made my grandpa breakfast 6:30 every morning. She had toast, eggs, bacon. I mean, it was like the whole 9 yards. So I knew if I woke up at 6:30 in the morning, my grandma was going to have me some biscuits and gravy ready to go, right?
Hey, she sounds awesome.
She is amazing. And so I run downstairs and I'm like, hey, grandma, where's dad? And she's like, I'm so sorry, sweetie. He left this morning. And so he left after promising me the world the night before and didn't even say bye. And that is when I just spiraled. Everything I was struggling with just got heightened. The self-harming became worse. My mom had to have me hospitalized. The anorexia got worse. And then I hit 8th grade and I decided that I was going to end my life. And I remember so vividly. I was in the bathroom, and because I had struggled with self-harming, my mom hid all of the sharp objects in the house. So like if she wanted to cook, she had to like get into the safe and get the knives out just to cook. And so I had nothing, right? So I locked myself in the bathroom and I unscrew the shower head to use the screws. And I decide that that's how I'm going to end my life. I'm going to lock myself in the bathroom and I'm going to use the screws, and I'm just going to, and I'm going to be done with it. And the angel of the Lord visited one of my friends at the time. She was the only person that really prayed for me. And the angel of the Lord said, you need to call Kiara's mom because her mom needs to go into the bathroom. Kiara's not okay. I was Kiki at the time. And so my 8th grade best friend at the time calls my mom and she goes, I don't know what's going on, but you need to go check on Kiki. So my mom like busts through the bathroom door, and I'm just like on the floor, just not okay. And my mom's like, please stop, please don't do it, please don't do it. And so she has me hospitalized. So we go to the hospital. I spend some time in the mental ward, and then I come back and I head to church camp.
Church camp.
And I've been to this church camp 2 times before, so I knew where I was going. I didn't expect anything. I've been here before. I only went because my cousins would go, and we would have ourselves a ball,
Sure.
So my mom kicks my butt to church camp, and I get radically born again. I just punch that thing in the face. And I get radically born again. Like this was a Baptist church camp, and you felt the presence of God. Like
Praise the Lord.
It was crazy. Whoa. Like the that's the first time I felt the tangible presence of God was this church camp. So I get radically saved. I come back home, I'm on fire, but because there was no deliverance and because there was no it's not that my dad didn't preach the Bible, but I didn't know that there was a consecrated and holy lifestyle that you're supposed to walk. Yeah. It's not just, you got born again, you got baptized. Okay, everything's great. You're a believer. No, like you have to put in effort.
Yes.
You have to put in time into your walk. That's why this Bible reading plan has just wrecked my life. And we'll probably talk about that because I have so much in me. It's busting out the seams. But because there was no deliverance, there was no like holiness and sanctification that I walked out. The second I hit high school, I just fell into the wrong crowd, like immediately, because I did not necessarily I had a foundation of who Jesus was because I know who saved me that night, but I didn't know anything else. And so like I always had the Lord Jesus, but I did not chase after him. And so I fell into the wrong crowd, started drinking, I started doing drugs, I started partying. And because I struggle with so much self-worth with my father, I tried to find male validation. And so I would give myself, to these guys that would say, oh, you're so pretty. Oh, I love you. Oh, you're amazing.
It's kind of like you would like just latch on to anybody that gave you that attention, gave me attention. Affirmation.
Yes. Like immediately latched to. Like it wasn't like it was like after 5 minutes I was ready to like marry. Like it because I just wanted so much validation. And so I found myself in some really jacked up situations, and I went through some assaults and some different things at parties, and I realized that I was not okay. And I started self-harming again, and I just started spiraling again. Like everything that I had just gone through that I thought I overcame, I did not. And so I went through that same rabbit hole over and over and over again. And that 7 times worse principle?
Yeah.
It makes so much sense after Dad taught it, because it wasn't like you have an open revolving door and they just come in and they leave. And so like what I realized had happened was I had some, they gave me leave, and then they would come back, because I struggled with like personality disorder, because like I would be fine and then like out of nowhere depression would hit.
Wow.
And so that principle makes so much sense now.
Yes.
Because they would leave, I would feel like I was better, but then they would come back and I would be worse off than I was. And that's exactly what happened my whole high school, like freshman to senior year. I thought I would find a glimpse of hope, and then I would just get dragged back down. And then I turned 18, and I had just met Chance. Chance and I had been dating for a couple of months. But I couldn't escape what I was feeling. I couldn't escape like what I had done. I couldn't escape my past. And the accuser of the brethren was also not allowing me to forget.
Yeah. He doesn't play fair.
He doesn't play fair at all. And he was not allowing me to forget everything that I've done. And instead of reminding him of his future, I believed him when he reminded me of my past. And so I was done. I was so done. I realized that I'm just going to feel like this for the rest of my life. That's the conclusion that I made. I'm going to constantly battle. I'm going to constantly struggle. I'm going to be okay and then not be okay and then be okay and then not be okay. And I could not live like that. And so it was right after my birthday. It was December. And I was in my bedroom, and you guys know this story. I was in my bedroom, and I had a bottle of vodka in one hand and a bottle of pills in the other. And at this point, I was a diagnosed alcoholic at 16. So I drank morning, night. I went to school drunk. I drank at school. I drank coming home from school. I drank all the time. So I had bottles of vodka, just lined up in my closet, just ready to go at any time. And so I grabbed one of those. My mom was my other grandma, so her mom's caretaker at the time. So we had all of her medicine in our cabinets.
Wow.
And so I took some of those. I grabbed that pill bottle. And as a last ditch effort, I was like, before I took it, I'm like, God, I need to know that you're real. Before I do this, my mom and dad serve you so faithfully. So why would you leave me like this? If they serve you so faithfully, why is their kid so jacked up? If they love you so much, why am I like this? Or I know you, so why am I not? You know what I'm saying? And I started blaming God. And so last ditch effort was like, God, if you're real, you're going to have to show me because I'm done. And he didn't answer. So I was like, all right, well, screw you, God. That's what I said. I said, well, screw you, God, because I called out and you're supposed to answer and you didn't. So screw you, I'm done. Phooey on this, I'm ending it all. And so I, get the bottle of pills ready. I pour them in one hand, and then I have the bottle. I'm ready to go. And right when I hit my mouth, I hear the audible voice of God. And all he said was, daughter. That was it. That's all he said. He just said, daughter.
It's powerful.
And right then and there, I realized the male validation that I was seeking was because I was looking for a man. I was looking for a man, and then I found a man. And it wasn't a man that was here.
Yes.
It was a man that wanted me.
Yes. Powerful.
A man that wanted me, and not because of anything I could do for him, but just because he wanted me, and he loved me, and he promised that he would. And so I heard the audible voice of God say, daughter. And so not only was my little girl heart healed from, not having a father, so I became a daughter. And then my self-worth, it just it plummeted, it just skyrocketed, because I realized that it was nothing I could have done or nothing I could do to make God love me more or make God love me less. And so I dropped the pills, I dropped the bottle, and I just fall on my face. I'm just radically overwhelmed by the presence of God. And I tell Chance, and I tried not to go all Jesus freak on him, because he wasn't churched. So I tried not to go all Jesus freak on him and scare him. And so, but we started going to church together. I asked him to start going with me because I was just going by myself. So I asked him to start going with me. We get married in February of 2021. And then we had a wedding in June or July. And then on our honeymoon, we got some alcohol. Because again, I didn't know that was bad. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know there was a consecrated holy lifestyle again. So I wasn't drinking, but I would have, some every once in a while.
Sure.
And so on our honeymoon, I was like, it's our honeymoon. Of course we can have a little fruity drink. You know what I'm saying? The first night I get so sick. Y'all, I was an alcoholic. And a fruity strawberry daiquiri took me out.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow,
right.
Yeah.
I was chugging vodka morning, day, and night, and a fruity strawberry daiquiri had me sick on the toilet.
Things had changed.
Yes, absolutely. And so I'm like, well, this is obviously not me, because this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. And so the Holy Spirit gets a hold of me that night.